You might have seen it in my last video where we started working on the log cradle, and that's what we're doing today. We're going to start working on the log cradle some more. Got my welding jacket on. I got out here and started to get set up and realized that I hadn't cleaned up these large square tubing, 4x4 tubing, and I need to take those over and touch them on the grinder just a little bit, get them cleaned up a little bit so don't have sharp edges. So we'll get started with that, and then we're going to do some welding. Going to bust out the Harbor Freight titanium 220 welder and get to welding. So that's what the plan is. So stick around and enjoy the light show. That also gives me a nice clean weld or edge to weld to, so that's good. Alright, well, we got those cleaned up. I didn't completely clean both ends. The end that is welding, that I'm welding, I needed to get the paint off to clean it up as well, the paint and the rust, so that it would weld better. But they didn't necessarily need the inside cleaned up because nobody's going to be sticking their hand down it. The other end, if the inside was all jacked up, had, you know, sharp things on it, then I was trying to clean those up. But some of them didn't need cleaned up at all, and other ones just a little bit. So, you know, that was that process. At some point, I got some little pieces here, these things. I need to get those all cleaned up. They're like triple painted, but I'm going to use these for gussets on those pieces that I'm getting ready to weld. So I'll show you that later. I have my welder set for this heavy duty stuff, so I'm going to look and see if I need to adjust it. This is thinner, but I'm still going to the heavy duty stuff. So I'm looking at my numbers. So initially I'm just going to do a couple tacks on the corners in order to hold this thing in place so it doesn't start moving. If you just start welding, boom, it'll pull the whole piece that way. So you got to kind of basically glue the corners down is what you're doing, tacking them in place so that way it don't take off on you while you're welding. Let's see what we got. I don't know if you heard that sizzling right there, and about right to that point it started sizzling because I blew a hole through it. That's not what you want to do. It means I got a little bit too much voltage. We'll turn it down just a hair. We'll bring her down to 18. Bring her down to 18. And then we'll do the other side here. Kind of tight. That was better. Not beautiful, but better. This is my tack job. And one of the problems is when you don't know what you're doing, you get this buildup on the end. And once in a while you gotta clean that off because you start slowing down your, see those little chunks that came off there? Start slowing down your wire feed. And your wire feed slows down and then it makes you more problems. I'm just learning. Just learning. That looks a lot better. Okay, we're back. I just took 3 or 4 minutes to clean those welds up. I'm using, here's my welder down here. That helps. It's a titanium 170 from Harbor Freight. And it works really good. Digital readout. I got it. It can be 110 or 220, but I do have it plugged into 220 over there. So I wanted, I'm like Tim the Toolman Taylor. I like more power. So anyway, so this is the first area that we welded, and you can see that it's not too pretty. Right here is where I blew a hole through this piece on the first pass. So I went back at the end and just went and just over the top of it and just kept going over and over and over and filling that hole in, which made a big nasty mess. So then I drew another bead across the top of it, so it didn't look quite so bad. It still looks really bad. So anyway, let me take my headphones off. I may be talking really loudly, I don't know. So anyway, so there's that one. This one over here was my second bead, and it looks like it turned out, I'm trying to get the light in there. It looks like it turned out pretty good. And I just didn't clean it up quite enough. Looks like there's still some schmutz in there. But it turned out pretty good for being on the inside corner, reaching funky sideways. And then this was the third bead, which is also pretty good for just early on, not using this welder a whole lot. I mean, it could be a little better, but it's all right. It'll hold for what I'm doing. And then here's the last bead. I think it turned out pretty well, except for right at the very end. Right in here, it started acting funny. I think it was my tip got gunked up a little bit, and so the wire was feeding slower, and so then it started just going thump, 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 and it was just gumming up there. So I went and did it a little extra long, and then I tried to backfill, and so it didn't turn out real well. But anyway, I mean, for a guy that's only welded all of about 10 beads with this thing, and he's using flux core, and it's my first time doing any serious MIG welding ever, so I think that turned out pretty good. It's definitely going to hold. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to clean up these gussets that I'm going to put on there, and they're going to go like right there, something like that. And then I can weld across here, I can weld across here, I can weld up the sides, and then I'll even be able to weld inside the circle all the way down and around, and that'll really strengthen that up to help give it some rigidity so it doesn't move around on us. Let's go clean some gussets up, because they're all covered with all kinds of schmutz, paint and paint. So That's what the next thing is. We gotta move back in the other room. This side looks like it has a little less paint, so I'll grind that side. That's actually going to go up against the metal, but I want a clean surface where I'm going to be welding to. So I'm going to be welding down on this edge. That way it's cleaner. The part that's attaching to it, to the cradle, is going to be cleaner. That helps your welds adhere better. Less fumes when you're welding. That's one of the big challenges when you're welding, is you don't want to end up sucking in a bunch of fumes. So if you don't have a well ventilated area, you need to wear a mask or something. And I'm not just talking a particle mask, you need a mask for fumes. Luckily where I'm at in this big old barn, got about 40-foot ceilings, and about every 12 inches there's a crack. So she's well ventilated, at least for now. I'm going to start closing her in a little bit where I'm going to have my shop, so that way I can heat and air condition it, at least a little bit. It'd be nice if I could keep it somewhere around between about 60 and 80 the majority of the year, so it's going to be what the goal is. See, without that light there, I didn't know all them little chunks was blowing everywhere like that. I really should have a particle mask on. But that's the last piece, so we'll call it good. Alright, we're fixing to go with the same settings we had before and just see how it works. When I get down here and I'm doing this, I'm going to have to add some extra wire in. I know it. Speed. Some wire speed and some voltage, so. That out of the way. That was better. Bottom up seems to be easier. You hold your puddle better going up. Seems like it's welding alright with that wire speed and stuff. That voltage, it seems to be doing okay. Getting decent penetration. As long as I hold it in the right spot, it seems to be. So that was today's core lesson on welding, but hey, you got to start somewhere, right? And so I'm trying to do some pretty crazy welds for a guy that's never really welded before, doing up welds and down welds and around welds and filling giant crack welds, and you know, it ain't got to look pretty, it's just got to hold. So it's going to sit out in the field and rust the majority of the time. When I use it, I don't really care if it looks pretty or not. So main thing is getting her done. So alrighty, well, I'll be back in a little bit, and we'll get this thing wrapped up. Bye.